Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amy and I am on a financial freedom journey with my family. I share all about that and more on my channel. And today is one of my favorite videos to film, which is our monthly budget recap. As painful as these can sometimes be with some overspending, which you will see this month, it is always really important to me to close out our budget. And also, it was a little bit more exciting this month because we did have a third paycheck. So we had an extra paycheck month this month. So we did have some extra income coming in this month, which was great. And it's always just great to have like a little bit more than you usually have. Although we did have, like I said, some overspending. So I will go over that. But yeah, let's get into it. It's always really important to me to close out my budget because it's one thing to put together a budget and have a plan, but it's another thing to actually try to follow it throughout the month. And another thing I wanted to note is that I have really been struggling with tracking our spending. It's just honestly been really difficult for me to have the drive and want to track our spending. I think partially because I knew October was going to be a spending month. So we were not very on top of our spending, which I think is very reflective in the way that our budget went this month. So just wanted to call that out because I do think it's important to track your budget throughout the month. Like I try and typically at least do it weekly, but it's definitely something that I don't have together either sometimes. So just want to be honest about that. Like we have really been struggling with tracking our spending like on even a weekly basis. And so it's something that I'm really looking to fix in November and December so that we can end the year strong. So just wanted to call that out, and I will talk more about that as we go through the budget as well. So this is for October. So W-2 income, we had budgeted $9,800 and that is what we brought in. So again, that is from my husband and I's W-2 jobs. We had one extra paycheck this month, so it was more than normal, which is great. Then we also had some side hustle income. It was pretty low this month, $152. So nothing too exciting there, but always appreciate having a little bit extra. It's always nice. So that brought our total income to the month to $9,952. In hindsight, I wish I could have made like $48 more so that we could have had a $10,000 month, but that's okay. Still appreciate the extra money that we did have. So we are working with a total of $9,952. Now I want to address that this is our money that actually hits our bank account. So that is taking out 401k, taxes, insurance, all those things. So this is what actually hit our bank account. So moving down to our different categories, so we have our fixed expenses here in the purple. We have our variable expenses here in the aqua color. Then we have in this pink red color, we have our sinking funds. And then this is the current financial goal that we're working on. So kind of all of these then feed into this one. And this is kind of what we do with all of our leftover money. So for our mortgage, we had budgeted $2,400 and we actually spent $2,400. We do round up our mortgage slightly just to pay a little bit extra. That was 24% of our take-home pay. Then we have daycare, which is another big chunk of money. It is exactly half of our mortgage, which is crazy. That is $1,200 for the month for my son. He is 3.5. He will be 4 in January, which is crazy. He will start 4K next fall, so in September. So we have a good 10 months still of this amount, and then hopefully it will drop, or it should drop significantly when he goes into the 4K program. It is half day, but it should drop quite a bit. So that will be probably about half of what we pay right now when the school year starts. So that'll be a nice break. We have our Peloton bike. That is $46, but it did just go up in the month of November. So it is at $52 now. So I will need to update that moving forward. But for now, it was still at $46 in October. Electric and gas, we do have this on budget billing. So this is our electric and gas for our home, and that was at $204. Again, that is on budget billing, so it does not change month over month. And I believe the next recalculation is in April, so we have a few months until we have that change again. I do think it's pretty good though. I feel like that number is pretty consistent. Our prior budget billing amount was $196, so it didn't jump up a lot. I do think the $204 is probably pretty accurate to what we actually spend on our utilities. And even though we do have it on budget billing, I actually do still look at the bill every month. I know that's kind of silly because it's on budget billing, but I do just like to see what we're spending still, because even when you're on budget billing, you do actually still get the bill with the real amount that you spent. So I just want to keep an eye on that, make sure that it's not going crazy, or just so that we have awareness. Internet is $60 a month. Again, that's fixed. And yeah, that's for internet. And then we have our brokerage and our giving. So for the brokerage, we have a reoccurring transfer that's $100 a month. Again, this is something we started doing a couple years ago at this point. I just really like having that little bit going there. We don't really have a ton of plans for a brokerage, but we do like to just save a little bit additional that is not tied to retirement, and invest some that is not tied to retirement, because the hope is that my husband and or myself or both of us will retire early. Probably like I'm hoping for 55. That would be great, for both of us. So we'll see. But we do want to give ourselves some freedom with that. And then also, like, if we don't end up using it for that, we would probably use it for like our kids or something. So just nice to have some diversification in your investments. Then we have giving. So we do have a recurring donation that goes every single month to St. Jude in the amount of $100. Moving on to our variable expenses, we do have our spending, which we get oh my gosh, I always do this when I'm saying 125, but it's 250 for both of us, for both my husband and I. We get 125 each for spending. That goes into our personal checking accounts, and we spend that as we want to, on whatever we want to. And then gas for our cars, we budgeted 300. Typically 300 is plenty, but we did actually go a little bit over this month. So we did go over budget by $4. Not a big deal. Obviously, there's going to be months where we're like closer to hitting that. And then there's also months where we're like way under. So I'm not worried about that one. Now, the groceries. This one went a little crazy. This one goes crazy. Okay, so we budgeted $1,000 for groceries. We ended up doing 2 Costco trips this month of October. Part of that was planned because we knew we had extra income. So I was like, okay, let's, like stock up a little bit, kind of give ourselves just some like stockpile of some of our like toiletry items. This is for groceries and household. So like we typically buy like toilet paper, etc. So we did do 2 Costco trips. We spent $1,431 this month, which is way over budget by $431. But again, I feel like it was sort of intentional, sort of not intentional. I definitely could have gone without the second Costco trip, which was like, I think it was like close to $250. That would have brought us closer to our budget. But again, we still would have been over budget. I'm hoping that'll mean for November that we'll be able to stick to our budget, because like I said, we did stock up on some things. We do have like a really full pantry and freezer right now. So I'm feeling really good about this month, but last month was sort of rough with that. So not great, but it is the reality. And honestly, groceries are really expensive right now. Like this isn't like exorbitant. I don't feel like we're not buying like, ribeye steaks every night or like anything like that. Like this is pretty like basic groceries and toiletries. So I don't know. I feel like, maybe every few months we'll have a month like this. And ideally it would fall into a month where we do have the extra income. So I'm not like mad about that really. It is what it is. So fun and kids, we budgeted $75. We only spent $51. So we were actually positive in this category by $24. So I will take that where I can get the win here. We didn't really have much going on with our kids this month, in the month of October. Obviously we had Halloween and stuff, but, yeah, I think some of that was Halloween spending, and then the rest of it went into miscellaneous. So sometimes I just kind of put things in categories. Maybe they don't always make the most sense to everyone else, but I think some of this was Halloween. And then, like I said, the rest of it was in miscellaneous, which we did go a little bit over budget. So we had budgeted $250 for miscellaneous. We actually spent $322. Part of this was Halloween costumes, although my kids were very basic things. Like my son was Batman. It was I think $20 for his costume. So not that exciting. And then my oldest was the Joker, and we were able to actually thrift some of his costumes. So that was fine. I probably should have in hindsight bumped this up a little bit more than I did. Normally we do $200 for miscellaneous. I bumped it up to $250, but that was not enough. So we did go over budget here as well. And that was over budget by $72. Again, is it the biggest deal? No. Do I wish we wouldn't have gone over budget? Of course. But here's where I'm really proud of you guys, because we struggle with dining out. So we budgeted $300. We spent $312, which is over budget, but barely $12. I'm really proud of that, because it's really hard for us to stick to our budget. And I've been really good about meal planning and just doing the right things as far as food. And also, I do feel like that's probably why our grocery budget was over too, because we did, obviously spend less than we have in the past sometimes on dining out. So that would make our groceries a little bit higher. But yeah, I feel really good about that. I feel like we found a really good balance in the month of October as far as eating out. And I feel like it was really intentional. And yeah, I mean, $300 I think is still like a decent amount for eating out. It's not like we're not eating out. But for a family of five, like we're only eating out a few times on that $300. Like it's really not that much. Like it's so expensive nowadays to eat out. And like my oldest is eating like a full out adult meal anywhere we go at this point, sometimes even more than my husband and I. So it's like a big chunk of money. All right. So that's all for our spending. Moving down to our sinking funds. For our car, we had budgeted 100 and we actually sent 100, and that was at 1% of our income. For kids, we said we were going to send 50. We did send 50. And then for our home, we did bump this one up a little bit because of the extra income. So we did do 200 into home, and that was what we did, 2%. Then we had vacation, which we also bumped up this month to $300. And then final sinking fund is Christmas at $100. We have been saving all year long for Christmas, and I actually have started Christmas shopping already. We have actually bought quite a bit of our Christmas gifts. I feel like that's also part of what made October feel very spendy, was we did do a lot of Christmas shopping in the month of October. And even though we do have that as a sinking fund, like sometimes it just feels weird to like go out and spend a bunch of money. Like, I don't know, like we just don't really do that anymore since getting out of debt. Like we don't just go out and like buy a bunch of stuff, but we were able to because we have the money saved. So we have, at this point in the year, about $1,000 saved, and we've spent quite a bit of it already. And we will continue to save for the rest of the year. And yeah, I think I'm like almost done Christmas shopping though. At this point, I'm filming this on November 7th. So the day that you guys are probably mostly seeing this, but I'm pretty much done. Like I feel like we've done really well. And if you guys have been on my channel for a while, and my youngest is home, so I can't say this too loud, but we are going on a cruise in January. So that is like their big gift. So we're doing very much a lighter Christmas this year. I still do plan to film a what we get our kids for Christmas video, but it is much lighter this year than it has been in the past. And then we have our last one, which is our Roth IRA. So we were able to put $2,400 towards the Roth this month, which is amazing. And that was 24% of our income, and actually just so happened to be the same amount as our mortgage, which is kind of funny, but feels really good to be able to put that much towards a Roth IRA in 1 month. So yay, even with the overspending, we were still able to make really good progress. So down here, just our little recap. So total income is $9,952. Total expenses were $9,930, and that actually left us positive $22. We've been negative the last few months, so I just wanted to make sure we didn't go too far. So I was kind of watching this closer to the end of the month just to make sure that we did have like some buffer still. So we didn't send maybe as much as we like wanted to the Roth, but I did have to adjust based on the overspending that we did have here. So yeah, that's that. All right, so that is all I have for October. Thank you guys so much for watching, and definitely leave a comment down below and let me know how October went for you. And I hope that November is off to a great start. I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.